Well, Virgo, hello again. It's June 2019, would you believe? I'm Dadhichi from astrology.com.au. A lot of you probably know that, but for those of you that are new, welcome. Here's your chart, the brief synopsis for the month of June. And what I've discovered in my many decades of being an astrologer with thousands and thousands of clients is that, it's a strange thing that so many people would prefer to be unhappily in love than not in love at all. And I just hope that that's not the case for you, because we see here this month this very powerful and tense combination of planets here. Mars and your karmic point, what we call the North Node or Rahu in your 11th house, directly in opposition to Saturn, Pluto, and your past karma point here in your 5th house of love affairs. And what's happening there, if you take a look, I'm going to just swing this around. There's a new moon on the 4th in your career sector, along with Mercury, which is ruling your career and professional activities. And that's going to bring a lot of that professional new moon energy into this next house. Before I get there, let me just say that some big things are going to happen, I think, very, very shortly as far as your professional activities are concerned. Here we have the direct aspect, albeit an opposition aspect, from Jupiter, the planet ruling your 7th house and 4th house. It's not considered the best planet for you, but its natural inherent predisposition is to do good. Jupiter is considered lucky. It's retrograde at the moment. That doesn't help, and I'll get to the domestic issues later, which is where it's located here in your 4th house. But this indicates some strong positive energy for this new moon, which moves into this area that I was talking about, the 11th house of friendships and love affairs. Now, notice that you've got this tension increasing with your ruling planet Mercury also moving into this area around the 5th, 6th of June. So what this does, Saturn, Pluto, both of these planets are also in retrograde motion. So this is really bogging you down in that area of love, romance, creativity. Often the Saturn there, I've found, can create somewhat of a creative block, an expressional block. And if you're in a relationship, this is probably one area of your life that's not going to be over and done with quickly, even if you're not particularly happy in the relationship. So what is to be done? Well, you certainly shouldn't be using this Mars energy to steamroll the other person. Mars has that aggressive quality about it, that dominant quality about it, whereas Saturn is somewhat more aligned to your sun sign of Virgo, where you're more withheld, more withdrawn. You are likely to want to come out of your shell and beat it out. You'll notice here that there are also many aspects forming from this 7th house, Neptune. This is the idealistic planet. And I think that has a lot to say about, what your aspirations are in terms of the relationship or relationship generally, and what you're actually experiencing at this time. So somehow you have to find a way to innovatively, this is Uranus over here in your 9th house, this is all the value area of your horoscope, Venus and Uranus, casting a good influence here to Mercury, your ruler, which will take that energy here. So it seems like your idealism is high, but the practicality of what's actually going on in the day-to-day affairs of your relationships, your love affairs, your creativity, is not meeting those expectations. When the full moon takes place here on the 14th, 15th, you see it takes place here in the 4th house of your horoscope, in conjunction with Jupiter, which we talked about earlier. Here you see this tension builds to a huge sort of level with your ruler Mercury finding great difficulty in expression. So there's a lot of frustration associated with this around the middle of the month. And here we see the full moon endowed with a better quality of Jupiter's influence and the sun, moving there into that difficult conjunction, hopefully softening it somewhat. We can say that because this idealistic planet in your 7th house of relationship with others generally, doing a dual positive aspect to this, what we call a stellium here, and your ruler and Mars and the North Node. So there's some karmic issues going on here. Some of you may actually meet people whom you have some outstanding karmic debts to deal with. There may be people you meet, and in that first instant there's a bit of tension, a bit of challenge, but still some sort of odd attraction to them. So you need to see that through. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't make hasty judgment, and realise that whatever you're going through is ultimately, especially if it's got to do with these karmic points here, has to do with your self-improvement and your growth and deeper understanding. As long as you're asking questions, you're okay. Moon transiting here in your 6th house. These are health issues, but it seems like it's not forming such bad aspects. It retains that good influence of Jupiter here. So it could be more to do with dealing with some of your workplace issues around the 21st, 22nd. Here we see back, the theme is very much on relationships this month. 7th house in conjunction with Neptune. Ordinarily, that can create a bit of a fuzzy sort of edge around your judgment. But we see here that these aspects aren't too bad for you. The blue aspects are always good. There's still a little bit of a not so bad here. Neptune and Venus in the right angle with the moon here shows that you are idealizing. Again, I mentioned this earlier. You may be putting someone on a pedestal. You may be looking at your relationship world through rose-colored glasses. You have to get real, and you have to bring that down to a bit more of a pragmatic level. This period 26, 27 is intimacy, and that again is followed up by a rather erratic sort of combination with the moon and Uranus. I talked also earlier of the issue of your values and what it is you value in life. That could be at the heart of what's going on, even if you're in a relationship that you've had for years. Sometimes those values become divergent, and you've got to bring it back to try to ascertain more the similarities rather than the differences that you're experiencing in your life. The end of the month finishes on this note here, and the moon is in a very, very good, strong position. So you should trust your instincts, and don't be afraid to communicate what you feel. Don't be afraid to talk about your ideals in your relationship, because that, I think, is going to be the catalyst for helping you resolve any issues that you have. Astrology.com.au, that's where we have more information for you on this month, on your day-to-day readings, the year, and naturally, if you'd like to have a more personal, in-depth reading, I'm here at your disposal. Just drop me a line and I'll make contact with you, and we can get down into the deeper aspects of what's happening in your life. Take care. Till next month. Hope to see you here again. Bye-bye.